Thank you very much. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to ADFIEP for inviting me to speak at this event. It's indeed a privilege for me to share this virtual platform with many eminent speakers serving various organizations in different jurisdictions. I'll try to do justice to the 8 minutes that I've been allocated to speak about our journey during the pandemic. If we could move to the next slide. I only have one slide. And what you see on the left of the slide is what we have been focusing on from an operational perspective. On the right, we set out some of the projects in support of the local community. But let me focus on the left column. Of course, when the pandemic first hit Malaysia and movement was restricted, many businesses ran into cash flow problems. And the first initiative we undertook was to provide a payment assistance or moratoriums. And in this regard, in the early days of the pandemic, the applications we received for moratoriums, we almost automatically granted without too many questions. And the idea was for us not to create more problems for our customers. And I think all DFIs and commercial banks in general would have taken the same approach. In this regard, the aggregate value of the assistance we granted was in US dollar terms, approximately 1.6 billion US dollars. So that was for the initial 6-month period. After that, we, of course, took a more targeted approach. Certain customers were able to come out of their cash flow difficulties. Others obviously continued to have cash flow problems. And again, we were very flexible with requests made by customers for extensions of the moratorium. And again, our objective was to facilitate our customers' sustainability during the pandemic. And of course, some customers had to go through R&R exercises simply because the financing structure that they were currently signed up for was not a financing structure in terms of payments that they could serve going forward. So this was, in general, how we approached the problems our customers faced during the first 1 year of the pandemic scenario. One simple condition we imposed on these customers was that they should not retrench their employees. And in most cases, our customers were able to comply with that simple condition because it's important to ensure that our customers are not the cause of more people losing their jobs. As I said, most customers were able to comply with this condition. Some, of course, despite the moratorium granted, still had financial difficulties. The next item I would like to focus on is the tourism sector. It goes without saying, and at Bank Pembangunan, by the way, Bank Pembangunan is the Development Bank of Malaysia in English. One of the sectors we support in a big way is the tourism sector. And we have been providing financing under what we call the Tourism Infrastructure Scheme, where financing rates are subsidized. And during the pandemic, many, if not all, hotels had to shut down. And again, it goes without saying that all of them were given payment moratoriums. But we also provided support to certain hotel operators who wanted to refurbish or upgrade their facilities during the pandemic period so that when the economy recovers, they would have an upgraded facility. But all that was, over the last 1 year. We now have to look forward. And as you heard the previous speakers mention, what is it that we as DFIs need to do or will be doing to support the recovery that we all expect to be going through over the next 12 to 24 months. In the case of Bank Pembangunan, we have what we call a National Development Scheme. And again, when we roll out a scheme, the financing rate is subsidized. And the general theme of the National Development Scheme is to support projects in line with what we call the 12th Malaysia Plan. This is a national policy document with regard to national development that runs from 2021 to 2025. So our National Development Scheme, under which we provide subsidized financing, will target these sectors. And one of the objectives under the 12th Malaysia Plan is to support post-pandemic recovery. I also have to talk about our impact assessment framework. One of the speakers earlier spoke about impact assessment. And as a DFI, it is important for us to understand why we are financing certain projects. And we use our in-house impact assessment framework to analyze the kind of impact that projects we propose to finance will have on national development. And if the score is at an acceptable level, then what that means is the project in front of us is a project we ought to support or finance. Moving on, traditionally, Bank Pembangunan does not focus on the SME segment because historically, we have been focusing on infrastructure, maritime, oil and gas, and technology. These are the broad mandates that we have as a DFI. But looking at what is necessary, looking at what is required going into 2022, and notwithstanding the fact that historically we have not been focusing on the micro or SME segments, we nevertheless have decided to make available financing to this segment. And we are setting aside approximately 120 million US dollars to provide working capital financing to the micro, small, and medium enterprises segment. Now, we don't have the branch network. We operate out of a single building because of the nature of our business focus, but that doesn't stop us from providing support to the MSME segment. And we will be doing this by collaborating with partners who run digital platforms. And initially, the thinking was to provide interest-free financing, but it's likely that we will end up providing financing at very low financing rates, notwithstanding the fact that from a risk perspective, it might be relatively high risk, but that is not our focus. Our focus is to provide support to businesses that need a little bit of assistance to pick themselves up as we go through the recovery phase. One item I need to highlight is in terms of our focus for 2022 and beyond is the private equity space. We realized that many businesses need more than just debt financing support. What they need is equity injection. And as a consequence of that analysis that we did internally, we will be focusing on a broad segment of businesses in terms of providing equity support too. Now, the question we have to ask is, which businesses do we go into salvage with additional equity? Which businesses should we not go into salvage with equity support that we will be in a position to provide? Again, we will use our impact assessment framework to make those decisions. because we need to have a clear understanding of why we are supporting specific projects or specific businesses. And our impact assessment framework will hopefully help us make those decisions in a structured manner. And finally, again, I would like to latch on to what the previous speakers mentioned with regard to the guarantee part of a DFI's business. We are currently going through a merger with a financial guarantee firm, and we expect to complete this merger by the middle of November. So going into 2022, we will be focusing a lot more on the guarantee part of a DFI's business to enable customers to secure financing from the capital market. So with that, I would like to end my brief presentation. And I hope, as the earlier speakers mentioned, you will find some benefit listening to the initiatives we have undertaken over the last 1 year and the initiatives we propose to undertake to facilitate recovery among businesses in Malaysia going forward. Thank you very much.